There's this moment, maybe it hit you in your 20s, or maybe you're feeling it now when something just doesn't make sense. You did everything right. You went to school, you followed the rules, you listened to the adults, checked the boxes, stayed out of trouble, and yet you're not free. Not financially, not mentally. Deep down, you start to wonder, what if the game was never meant to be won? What if the rules we were taught were written to keep us exactly where we are? See, from the moment we're born, we're fed a script. Be a good student, get a good job, work hard, buy a house, retire at 65. It sounds safe, predictable, respectable. But what if that safety is an illusion? What if the very structure of society, the way we're educated, advertised to, taxed, and taught to behave, is a kind of financial hypnosis? We don't question it because everyone's following it. But here's the truth. The most dangerous prisons are the ones you don't know you're in. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. That's what happened to me. And it started with school. I remember sitting in class, staring at the clock, waiting for the bell to ring. We weren't taught how to think. We were taught how to follow. Raise your hand. Memorize the answer, circle the bubble, get the grade. Nobody ever asked, what do you want to build? Instead, it was, here's the syllabus, follow it. Looking back, it makes sense. The modern school system wasn't created to produce entrepreneurs or free thinkers. It was designed during the Industrial Revolution to produce obedient workers, factory workers, office workers. People who follow orders, don't ask too many questions, and show up on time. They didn't teach us about taxes, or compound interest, or how inflation silently eats your savings. But they made sure we knew how to recite the Pythagorean theorem. I'm not saying education is worthless. I'm saying the version we got was never designed to make us wealthy. It was designed to make us useful to the system. And by the time we realized that, we're already in debt. I was 18 when I got my first credit card. No income, no assets, no idea what APR meant. But there it was, $1,000 of invisible money handed to me like candy. And I wasn't alone. Banks line up outside college campuses offering free pizzas and t-shirts just to get students to sign up. Why? Because debt is profitable. Not for you, for them. It's marketed like a necessity, but it's really a product. A product they want you to buy and never stop paying for. Think about it. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, buy now, pay later. We're conditioned to see debt as normal, even responsible. But debt isn't just a number. It's a leash. A quiet, invisible chain that limits your options, your freedom, your future. And the system smiles while you drown because your interest is their income. I didn't realize it back then. I thought I was building credit. In reality, I was building a cage. You ever notice how buying anything makes you feel good for about 30 minutes? New phone, new shoes, new car. For a second you feel important, valuable, zine. Then it fades, and you need another hit. We don't just spend money, we worship it. The mall is our temple. Instagram is our scripture. And the altar we kneel before is whatever's trending this week. Society doesn't care if you're in debt, it just wants you to keep consuming. Because consumption is the engine, it keeps the machine running. Your fear of missing out, monetized. Your need to belong, marketed. Every ad whispers the same message. You're not enough, but you could be if you buy this. And so we obey, not because we're weak, but because we were programmed to chase validation, not value. We spend to feel rich instead of investing to become rich. And that gap, that's where most people stay stuck. I used to believe hard work was the answer to everything. Want more money? Work more hours. Stay late. Pick up shifts. grind harder. But no one told me the truth that trading time for money is a treadmill. You run and run, but the view never changes. Because there are only 24 hours in a day, and eventually you run out. Society teaches us to chase paychecks, not freedom. We learn how to earn, but never how to own. No one explains the difference between active income and passive income, or how the wealthy don't sell their time, they buy assets. They invest in businesses, real estate, stocks, things that make money while they sleep. Meanwhile, most of us are stuck in the same loop. Work, spend, repeat. We're trained to think in hours and wages, not in equity and ownership. It's not that we're lazy. It's that no one taught us how to escape. Until one day, you meet someone who owns their time, and you realize they're playing a different game entirely. The first time I said I didn't want to buy a new car, people looked at me like I was broke. When I said I'd rather invest than go out drinking every weekend, they laughed. You're new fun. You're obsessed with money. You've changed. And yeah, I had, but not in the way they meant. I wasn't chasing wealth for status. I was chasing freedom. The freedom to not stress over bills. The freedom to wake up and own my day. But here's the problem. Society doesn't like people who step off the script. When you choose minimalism over materialism, you threaten the illusion. When you invest instead of impress, you make people uncomfortable. Because deep down, they've been told the same lie, that fitting in is safer than leveling up. So they mock what they don't understand. They shame what makes them feel exposed. But if you want to break free, you have to get used to being misunderstood. Freedom looks strange to people still in chains. The day I saw 2 paychecks, mine and my boss's, I felt sick. We both worked in the same building, under the same roof, but after taxes, my slice was crumbs compared to his. And yet he paid a lower tax rate. That's when it hit me. The system doesn't reward effort. It rewards structure. See, employees get taxed first before they even touch their money. But business owners and investors, they earn, then spend, then get taxed on what's left. It's legal. It's strategic. And it's invisible to most. No one taught us how to write off expenses. No one explained capital gains or depreciation. We were told taxes are just part of life, like gravity or rain, but they're not. They're rules. And the rich know how to play by a different set. Meanwhile, the rest of us pay the highest price in silence. It's not about cheating the system. It's about understanding it. Because if you don't, the system will always win. I went through 16 years of school, learned how to dissect a frog, solve for X, memorize the periodic table, but no one ever taught me how to build wealth. Not once. No budgeting class. No investing basics. No discussion about compound interest, the very force that separates the rich from the rest. Why? Because ignorance is profitable. If you don't know how money works, you'll spend it recklessly. If you think saving is enough, you'll never question inflation. If you fear investing, you'll work forever. And someone somewhere benefits from that. They say knowledge is power, but more importantly, applied knowledge is freedom. And that's exactly what we were never given. We were trained to be good workers, not free thinkers. Because if everyone knew how money really worked, banks would panic. Credit card companies would shrink. And most of all, people would stop accepting survival as success. That's why I started learning on my own. Because no one's coming to teach us, we have to teach ourselves. Growing up, I heard it all the time. Money changes people. Rich people are greedy. Money is the root of all evil. So I believed it. I thought wanting wealth made you selfish. That ambition was dangerous. But then I looked closer. Most of the people who said those things were struggling. Not because they were bad with money, but because they had been taught to fear it, to feel guilt for wanting more. So they stayed stuck in survival mode, convinced that poverty was somehow noble. But here's the truth. Money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you are. If your kind, generous, driven money gives you the tools to be more of that. And if you're struggling to pay rent, you're not thinking about donating, creating, or building. You're thinking about making it to next week. The real evil isn't money, it's the lack of it. And society knows this. That's why it shames wealth, because if you believed you deserved it, you might actually go get it. I used to think stability was the goal. A steady job, a predictable paycheck, health insurance, retirement at Famotritz. It felt secure until I realized that same safety was holding me back. I watched people stay in jobs they hated for 30 years. Not because they loved the work, but because they feared losing the benefits. The system feeds us just enough to keep us from rebelling, but not enough to help us escape. It's like a gilded cage. Nice enough to stay in, comfortable enough to make you forget you're trapped. Government aid, job security, company perks, they're helpful, no doubt, but they come with invisible handcuffs. You trade risk for routine, potential for predictability, and slowly your dreams shrink to fit your paycheck. I'm not saying everyone needs to quit their job tomorrow, but ask yourself, is this safety net catching you? Or is it quietly holding you down? Because sometimes the scariest part of freedom is realizing it was always your choice. I used to binge those makeover shows. New car, new house, dream wedding, all on a montage and alone. It looked like happiness. But it was a script. The media doesn't just entertain us, it programs us. We see celebrities flashing cash, influencers unboxing luxury, TikToks of 20-somethings claiming passive income after 3 months of drop shipping, and somewhere deep inside, we start to believe success equals spending, happiness equals things. Status is gelijk aan debt in disguise. But what you don't see is the credit card bill after the vacation, the anxiety behind the Instagram smile, the 30-year mortgage behind the dream home. The media rarely glorifies the quiet wealth, the person living below their means, investing consistently, delaying gratification, because that doesn't sell ads. What sells is urgency, impulse, the illusion that you can buy your way to freedom. But freedom isn't flashy, it's invisible. It looks like peace of mind, not a shopping spree. And once you realize that, the script starts to unwrap. Every morning, I'd wake up and grab my phone, just for 5 minutes. An hour later, I was still scrolling. News, memes, outrage, envy, all flashing at me faster than I could think. And then I'd rush to work, wondering where my time went. It wasn't an accident. It was design. The attention economy doesn't just fight for your focus, it steals your future. Because if you're always distracted, you're never intentional. You won't plan your finances. You won't read that book. You won't build the skills that buy freedom. Instead, you'll consume content, products, opinions, and call it relaxing. But the cost is hidden. Every swipe trains your brain to avoid discomfort. And wealth building? It's nothing but discomfort. It's saying no to quick dopamine. It's investing money instead of spending it. It's thinking long-term in a world addicted to now. The system doesn't need to control you. It just needs to keep you distracted long enough that you forget you ever had a plan. The shift didn't happen all at once. There was no lightning bolt. Just a series of quiet moments. Like the first time I tracked every dollar I spent and realized most of it was emotional. Or when I opened a book about wealth and felt angry not because it was wrong, but because no one had ever shown me this before. Awareness is uncomfortable. It forces you to face the gap between where you are and where you could be. But it's also powerful because once you see the program, you can start to rewrite it. You begin noticing the little traps, the ads that prey on your insecurities, the habits that drain your energy, the people who keep you stuck in the same conversations, the same paycheck, the same weekend. And you start making different choices, small ones, at first. Saying no to something that used to be automatic. Asking why before spending. Saving $10 instead of chasing another dopamine hit. It doesn't look heroic, but it's the start of rebellion. And in a world built to distract you, clarity is a revolution. I stopped trying to look rich and started learning how to be rich. Not rich in watches or brand names, rich in options, rich in time, rich in peace. I automated my savings, set investing on autopilot, said goodbye to subscriptions I didn't need, and friends who only knew how to spend. I learned to love boredom again because that's where clarity lives. And slowly, my life stopped feeling like a treadmill. The funny thing, no one clapped, no one noticed. There were no big wins, no viral moments, just Kiet progress. Compound interest financially and mentally, a few dollars saved turned into thousands. A few pages read turned into perspective. A few early mornings turned into confidence. This wasn't about becoming a millionaire overnight. It was about refusing to stay poor in mindset. Because the system didn't change. I did. And once you write your own rules, the old ones lose their power. If you're still watching this, maybe you've felt it too. That quiet voice inside, whispering, this can't be all there is. And you're right. You weren't born to live paycheck to paycheck, to drown in debt, to trade your dreams for a direct deposit. You were born to build, to create, to choose. Yes, the game is rigged, but every system has loopholes. And awareness is the first one. The truth is, society doesn't need you to stay poor. It just doesn't care if you do. But now you know. You've seen the patterns. You've felt the chains. And you have a choice. Keep playing by their rules or write your own. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because once you taste freedom, even just a glimpse, you'll never settle for survival again.